Razor Blackenborrough here again, narrating for Jet Black, who just got finished whipping my backside for telling his business yesterday as he browsed those naughty pictures of his wife and girlfriend yesterday while I recorded. When he heard that video, he did a jihad on my monkey tail that made my grandparents in their graves say, "Ouch!" However, I got a good laugh out of it too. Also, shouts out to DN3001 for coming through by himself on Cash App when Jet Black was live the last time. No one else came through, not even with ones or twos, despite that you darkies have money, and Jet prefers a small amount from each as opposed to any large sums from any one of you, to make it easier for all of us. Should you not think Jet Black has earned even that small an amount per subscriber, then I ask you go to Jet's community tab and see Joey Staley's post about the pink wall of silence. Ask him for his Cash App tag and send him handsome sums of money. This is because Staley has contributed to the vocabulary we need to discuss properly the gender war and its tactics. Additionally, I have chosen a new vocabulary word as well for the kind of guy that women normally raise their sons to be, but never select for procreation. That term is cider, taken from the acronym CIDDYR. It stands for cuckolded, insulted, disrespected, despised, yet responsible. This category is one of two categories of non-elect men, the other being invisible and therefore not selected for mistreatment. Once you are not a selected man, and you still have the Western woman's attention for whatever reason, she slates you for the cider treatment. She not only wants you to raise other men's kids, pay for her to sleep with these other men, protect and provide for her, solve her problems, and not expect any intimacy or respect from her in return, but she outright demands and expects this from you. She will question your manhood when you don't accept this arrangement, but don't forget she already has decided that for cosmetic reasons, or for secrets that you don't know, you are already not a man. She simply admits to you that she will not view you as one should you demand an arrangement that is fair to a man, and you cannot impress on her that you are a man and not the cider type either. She can't learn this lesson until she has no more chance with you. She has already decided that you deserve the same lack of respect as a man on whom she has already cheated, so you can't change your frame to impress her into cooperating with her. You must instead abandon her altogether at the first confirmation that you are her cider. And if she does learn that you aren't cider, she only learned it because you wrote her off anyway. You cannot both give her a chance and also impress upon her that you're a man with normal boundaries at the same time. That isn't your fault either. If you are the guy that many women slate as cider, know that while it's okay to experiment with a different hairstyle or some cosmetic changes to see if that changes people's subconscious impressions of you, they are still slating you as cider based on what you aren't, not necessarily who you are. They aren't really judging you based on their own impressions as individuals. They are judging you based on how their peer group tells them to treat guys who look like you, and that's all. This is why you can be a man with glasses and tolerate no disrespect at all and still be consistently tested and then retested well after you have passed. And this isn't necessarily from girlfriends either. Your lady co-workers might simply decide to read you, giving you a psychoanalysis of your personality without actually knowing you well. This stems from that. They are really admitting that based on your appearance somehow, or based on how you don't appear, that their peer group has already determined that you are supposed to be treated as cider, because they judge guys as cider based on superficial traits or even lack of them. I point this out to you so that you know better than to keep trying to learn how to impress them as a select man and not cider. Invisibility is the better option with these Westernishas. They aren't going to consider more than 13% of men to be select anyway, so other men that aren't invisible will be automatically assessed as cider by these broads and targeted for very insulting arrangements and told they should just accept them. Also, I tell you this so that you can more easily describe the men that women choose to use to the younger boys and let them know that their single mums, Disney movies, and popular media in general will teach these guys to be exactly the cider that no man would want to be. This is why they not only need advice from men, but from specifically men who are red pill aware and know the importance of disrespecting that pink wall of silence behind which Forrest Gump's mom raised him. Steph is Cole's mom, and aunt taught him. And many of your mums and aunts and grandmums raised you. That pink wall of silence is used to continuously ensure a supply of men to be slated and used as cider. And many are sacrificing their own sons and grandsons and nephews to do so, so that women to whom they aren't related can benefit, while the men to whom they are related can fund these benefits with no even or fair exchange. When you really think about it, as Joey Staley pointed out, Forrest Gump's mum groomed Forrest to be a cuck for Jenny. His mum's job was to make sure that Forrest didn't grow into a man that left loose women like Jenny to the consequences of their own actions. With the secrecy intact, all many women must do is remain silent and not snitch on each other to their own male relatives, and many choose not to, so that the secrecy remains intact. Our job as red pill-aware men is to remove that secrecy and to even combat the idea of respecting that kind of secrecy. Of course, any immoral wishes of a woman or women that they disobey aren't to be blamed for them because they didn't fulfill those evil wishes. However, the notion that it's okay for women to keep these evil wishes a secret from their own sons and nephews and such is a notion that it's our job to combat. No, Auntie, Grandmum and Mum, let me talk to you directly for a minute. If you know that women fight temptation to bring home a bedbugs baby and pass it off as a responsible husband's baby, then it's your job to tell your nephew that women fight this temptation. And if you're hiding this temptation from your own nephew, then you're trying to allow yourself a chance to pass off your side ninja's child as your husband's baby in case you slip up and have a side ninja one day. You may not be planning to have a side ninja, but you are planning in case you cheat, and that is still evil as Satan's wet dreams. Gentlemen, as a black manosphere, we must oppose the very idea that women shouldn't tell their male relatives what good women struggle to not do if they're really good women. We should oppose the notion that these immoral wishes fall under some notion of privacy that is respectable. They don't. A woman's individual struggle to not cuck her husband and another woman's individual struggle to stay with her husband because her middle school circle of friends would have made of her husband if they met him back in middle school are individual privacy matters. The collective temptation they face to dually mate, practice paternity fraud, and overspend at the expense of a responsible provider while spending on an irresponsible biker isn't individual privacy, though, and therefore we don't respect some imaginary right to hide this from males collectively. That conspiracy to hide this generality is nothing other than a mechanism by which women train their own male relatives to be some unrelated woman's cider. It is also why women don't disclose to their male relatives that Western women are out here just assuming and insisting that the men they don't want to smash are cider in the first place. You don't have to actually be less of a man to be classified and targeted as cider. You only need not be select on a superficial level and still, for some reason, not invisible to them. That visibility without being select to them can be because you shot your shot, or it can be because she's on the prowl for a cider on whom to dump her baby's needs and at whose expense to retire from earning her own living. Imagine me trying to explain the dangers of the pink wall of silence without using a term like cider to properly explain what these wicked witches of the West want you to be in a way that doesn't blame you for their anxiety to just use you in exactly the same ways they won't tolerate being used by a man. This new vocabulary is also necessary to explain to you why it isn't your fault. I could simply call men either select or non-select, or superior and inferior, but these terms imply that normal men are at fault for how women see them. You're not. You're at fault for only being too easy, though, which is evident in the numbers of ERF subscribers versus ERF models. There are 3 million models and actresses on OF, but there are 244 million subscribers to adult content on OF, and that is a conservative estimate. In other words, if I'm wrong, then there are more. So we are wrong for being too easy, but we aren't guilty of a conspiracy to trick women into acting against their own genetic interests and putting their resources into other women's children while not having their own. We don't even try things like that when we have the opportunity, and if there is such an opportunity to deceive women against their own interests, we usually don't notice it because we don't see it. Some will say that we might try to deceive women out of their chastity to get sex, but in reality, most men will respect the chastity of a woman, but cannot and should not respect the real reason women decline sex with most men, which is merely conceit and arrogance. It has nothing to do with chastity. A chaste woman turns down even the penis she wants because it's not attached to her husband, and she actually prefers marriage over celibacy. A conceited woman declines sex because of the height, money, and other women's attention a man doesn't have, but still manages to rack up a body count, and always vies for more attention from men in general, and also declines sex on occasion just to be seen doing it by other women, thus setting up her ego to demand more male victims, incentivizing herself to decline men that don't even approach her to begin with so that she can feed that ego. In order to fully place the balm where it belongs and not where it doesn't, Jet Black and I needed a new vocabulary word to describe the category into which women try to even funnel otherwise select men by hypertesting, let alone non-select men that aren't invisible to them. It was also necessary to describe to you the purpose of the pink wall of silence to which Joey Staley gave that name. Jet and I sincerely hope this vocabulary helps you to organize your own understanding and gel it into words and sentences you can use to explain to the young brethren that need these explanations. Thanks for listening, and as always, black heterosexual, non-select male power just because Boom Shika doesn't like it, and black patriarchy until extinction or Judgment Day. Thank you for flying with us again here on Jet Black Air, where the phrase jet black is also a verb. Keep jetting black with us until the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender, justice, forever.